What up YouTube, it's your boy Anime Specialist. So it was a good episode. It was basically Shinra versus Princess Hibana and some backstory with Iris and Princess Hibana, so I really liked it. So let's get right to it, man. So last week's episode was basically the 8th company invading, the 5th company base, which was an amazing episode in my opinion. Just seeing the different fighting style going up against each other was pretty cool. Seeing the lieutenant fight for the first time, seeing Maki, Arthur fighting, was pretty cool. And I think they're the strongest company, from what we've seen so far in last week's episode. Obviously in this week's episode we saw Shinra versus Hibana, which was pretty cool also, and it seems like Shinra is maybe stronger than Hibana, which is interesting. And Captain Obu, I think we've seen him at the beginning of the episode, but that's the only thing that we saw, so I'm wondering what's going on with him. But yeah, we haven't seen him a lot in the past 2 episodes, which is understandable because of all of the action that we've seen, but hopefully we'll see him more in the next few episodes. I ain't gonna lie, Iris was pretty useless. Obviously it's understandable because she's not a pyrokinetic, she's just, a sister. She doesn't have any power, she's not physically strong, so she couldn't do anything, she could only watch. But yeah, man, it was pretty weird. The only thing that she did in this episode, was talking about her fate basically, and how Hibana was going in the wrong direction and everything. So hopefully, maybe, further in the series, maybe Iris will develop a fighting style or something like that. Maybe she's only gonna be a sister, but hopefully she'll be able to do something different. Anyway, it was a Shinra versus Princess Hibana fight. It was pretty cool. I really liked the technique that we saw Princess Hibana use. First of all, we saw her use the same power that she used on Shinra the first time that they encountered with each other, which was when she captured the Inferno. I think what she said that she's using, obviously she's a 3rd generation pyrokinetic, but the way that she used her power at first was creating some heat around Shinra's body, which was dilating his blood, and that made him lightheaded, so that's why he wasn't feeling so well. And I thought that was a pretty interesting way of using her pyrokinetic powers. Then we saw Hibana using another kind of technique. She created a sakura tree made of fire, which was fire, pun intended, and the leaves were burning Shinra, they were burning Iris, so it was a pretty interesting technique. And at one point of the episode she was using this technique pretty similarly to one of the captain in Bleach. I think his name is Byakuya, that was his Bankai, and it looked pretty similar, so I thought that was amazing. Plus, the sakura tree looked beautiful. The animation for the episode, as always, was looking amazing. The flames, just the way that the flames look, it is pretty, so I really like that part. But then we saw the backstory. We've seen some flashes of the backstory of what happened to Iris and Hibana. Obviously they were in the same coven, they were sisters in training basically. And something that we learned in the backstory is that even from the beginning, Hibana didn't really believe in all that. She wasn't committed to, being a sister. And, that was pretty interesting. It shows why, in a way, she's like that today. But, something happened. All the sisters at their coven died by a fire, probably infernals or something like that. So that's one of the reasons why she doesn't believe in the Great Soul, because she wasn't committed to, this religion, and all these other sisters were, so they died and she didn't, so that made her fate even more, even less apparent to her, because she thinks that she's the one that deserves to basically die, not the other sisters that were committed to the religions, so that was a pretty interesting flashback. Before all that happened, Hibana promised Iris that when she becomes a sister, I think, she'll show her, the flowers, the beautiful flowers that she was making before all that happened. That's just a fact that, I needed to talk about so that we can talk about it later in the review. But yeah, all the sisters dying by the fire completely, erased any kind of faith that Hibana had. So we saw a little bit later in the flashback where, Hibana, kind of left Iris and then became, obsessed with, becoming quote unquote a demon. We saw her go up in ranks and becoming a captain and everything like that. So we all saw that. So I really like the flashback. I really like the story behind Hibana and Iris. After the flashback, we saw the final blow between Shinra and Hibana. Shinra was trying to kind of talk no jutsu her by saying a lot of things, by saying that he's gonna save her and everything like that. And then she says that she doesn't believe in heroes, that heroes doesn't exist and everything like that. So that was it was a good conversation, but finally Shinra was able to beat her at her own game. Basically, he beat her with his pyrokinetic powers with, I think, one kick in her face, man. That was brutal, but she was okay afterwards. But anyway, man, I think it was a pretty good episode. I really liked the animation of how they showed Hibana's powers, her pyrokinetic powers and everything like that. So it was pretty amazing. At the end of the episode, it seems like Hibana fell in love with Shinra, with the change of pupil in her eyes. It was hard for a moment, so it seems like she fell in love with Shinra, and it seems like they're not so far apart of age. It seems like she's a little bit older than Iris and Shinra, so I don't mind it at all. Shinra has kind of a girl, that he probably won't know of because she won't show her feeling toward him. But yeah, it was pretty interesting how everything ended, so hopefully we'll see more of Hibana. Hopefully she'll share her research about the infernos and everything that is happening inside the companies. So yeah, man, it was a pretty good episode. Let me know what you thought about this week's episode in the comments down below, and let me know what you think is gonna happen next. I do Fire Force reviews every Friday, so subscribe for that. But I also do other anime related things like Black Clover reviews on Tuesdays, Fire Force and Dr. Stone reviews on Fridays. My Dr. Stone review is coming in a few hours, so stay tuned for that. And then on Saturdays I do One Piece and Kimetsu no Yaiba Demon Slayer reviews, so stay tuned for that, man. Last week's Demon Slayer episode was amazing. It was trending on Twitter, so if you're not watching it, go start it right now. Anyway, one last thing that I want to say is that Hibana delivered on her promise. She showed her flowers to Iris at the end of the episode, and ironically the flowers that she showed were Iris's, so that was a pretty amazing moment between these two, because they're like sisters, they're the only sisters that survived that fire. And it seems like they stayed together for a while before Hibana left, so they're like sisters, so I'm glad that they're back together. But yeah, man, I think I've said everything that I needed to say. Follow me at Anime Specialist on Twitter and Instagram. I tweet a lot more right now, so follow me on there. Like, comment, subscribe on my channel because it would help it a lot. Thank you for watching. We're at 58 subscribers right now, so thank you all for everything, the support, and I'll see you in the next video, man. Anime Specialist out. Peace.